If you're an American living abroad, married to someone from another country, or even thinking about getting a second passport, what's happening in October 2025 might change your plans forever. The topic of dual citizenship has suddenly become a big headline again, and many people are asking the same question. Are the rules about to change? Can Americans still hold dual citizenship freely? Or could the government make it harder to keep two passports at once? This video will break down the truth about what's happening this October, what's being proposed, and how it could affect millions of people worldwide. So grab a seat and listen carefully, because this isn't just another policy talk. This could impact your identity, your family, your freedom to travel, and even your future opportunities abroad. Let's start with what's actually happening right now. In the United States, dual citizenship has always been a tricky subject. The U.S. government doesn't officially encourage it, but it also doesn't forbid it. In other words, it's allowed as long as you follow certain rules. If you're born in the U.S., you're automatically a citizen under the 14th Amendment. If you later decide to take citizenship from another country, say you move to Italy, Canada, or the Philippines, the U.S. won't automatically take your citizenship away. You can still be both. But here's where things start to get complicated. Over the past few years, especially since early 2025, lawmakers and government officials have started to question whether the system is too loose. They argue that having multiple citizenships could create conflicts of loyalty, tax complications, and even national security risks. And now, in October 2025, those discussions are turning into real proposals. So, what exactly is changing? There isn't one single law that says dual citizenship is over, but there are several ongoing developments that together could reshape how it works. One of the biggest is a controversial executive order signed earlier this year, called Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. The goal, according to supporters, is to make sure U.S. citizenship remains something earned and protected, not taken lightly. But critics say it's an attempt to roll back birthright citizenship, the rule that grants automatic U.S. citizenship to anyone born on American soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status. If this change ever becomes fully active, and courts are still deciding on that, it would mean that some children born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents might no longer be recognized as citizens. That's huge, because those children often hold dual citizenship through their parents' country as well. Imagine being born in California to parents from Mexico or India, and suddenly being told you're not automatically American. That's not just a technical change. It affects thousands of families. The executive order has faced legal pushback, and for now it's partly blocked. But lawmakers have also introduced the Birthright Citizenship Act of 2025, which goes even further. This bill aims to redefine what it means to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, requiring at least one parent to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident for a child born in the country to get citizenship. Supporters of this bill say it would close loopholes and prevent misuse of U.S. citizenship by people visiting the U.S. temporarily, but opponents argue that it violates the Constitution and punishes innocent children. If this ever becomes law, it would directly impact future generations, and indirectly it would make dual citizenship harder to achieve, because fewer children would qualify for automatic U.S. nationality in the first place. But there's another layer here that's just as important. The growing global conversation around loyalty, national security, and transparency. In 2025, several members of Congress began pushing for new disclosure requirements for people in public office who hold dual citizenship. They argue that anyone serving in a powerful government position should be completely loyal to the U.S., and that having another citizenship could be a conflict of interest. These ideas haven't become law yet, but they're gaining attention. Some politicians want to go as far as banning dual citizens from certain highly government roles. It's not a direct attack on ordinary people with dual nationality, but it does show a shift in mindset, a renewed skepticism toward holding more than one citizenship at a time. Now let's talk about what this means for ordinary Americans. If you already have dual citizenship, say you're both American and Canadian, nothing has changed yet. You don't need to give up your U.S. citizenship, and you don't need to worry about losing it. Forced to make a choice one day, to pick one citizenship and give up the other. That fear has spread, especially among people living abroad, retirees with foreign spouses, and young professionals building international careers. They're watching closely because even small rule changes could cause big disruptions in their lives. What's also interesting is that other countries are making changes to their dual citizenship laws too, and those changes indirectly affect Americans. For example, Germany recently made it easier for its citizens to hold another nationality without special permission. That means a German who becomes an American no longer has to give up their German passport. On the other hand, Italy has tightened some of its citizenship by descent rules, making it harder for distant descendants of Italians in the U.S. to claim citizenship through ancestry. These changes show that the world is moving in different directions. Some countries are opening up while others are restricting. So for Americans seeking a second citizenship, the opportunities are shifting every year. Now let's look ahead to October 2025. Why is this month being discussed so much? It's because several court hearings, policy reviews, and immigration updates are set to take place around this time. Some of them could decide the future of the executive order on citizenship. Others involve how USCIS will handle naturalization tests and citizenship interviews going forward. There's also talk about updating the civics and English portions of the naturalization exam to make them more values-based, meaning applicants would need to show not only knowledge of U.S. history, but also an understanding of what it means to be an American citizen in terms of values and responsibilities. Critics worry that these changes could make the process more subjective and harder for applicants from non-English-speaking countries. While none of these changes instantly remove the right to dual citizenship, they all point toward a trend, tightening control, stricter definitions, and a growing emphasis on the meaning of being American. And if we've learned anything from past policy shifts, it's that small steps can lead to major changes over time. For example, a few years ago, no one thought FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, would have such a massive impact. But when it passed, it suddenly required banks worldwide to report information about U.S. citizens' financial accounts, even if they lived abroad. That law alone made life difficult for many dual citizens who suddenly found their foreign bank accounts under scrutiny. Now, with this new wave of reforms, many fear a similar outcome: more reporting, more paperwork, more limits. Let's take a moment to imagine how these possible changes might play out. Suppose the birthright citizenship reforms go through and a new baby is born in the U.S. to parents who are there legally but not citizens. That baby might not automatically get U.S. citizenship anymore. If the parents are citizens of another country, the baby could still have that citizenship but not the American one. Over time, this could reduce the number of dual citizens born in the U.S. Then suppose stricter naturalization rules make it harder for immigrants to become citizens. That means fewer people would gain American citizenship in the first place, and fewer dual citizens would exist overall. Add in growing political pressure for transparency about dual nationality and government and military service, and you can see where this is going. A more cautious, controlled approach to multiple citizenships. But there's another side to this story, and it's one that often gets overlooked. Millions of Americans benefit enormously from dual citizenship. It allows them to study abroad, work internationally, access better healthcare, and connect with family roots. Dual citizens often act as bridges between cultures, helping build trade, diplomacy, and global understanding. In a world where international cooperation is so vital, restricting dual citizenship could actually hurt the U.S. in the long run. It could discourage talented immigrants, limit business opportunities, and make Americans less connected to the world. That's why so many experts and human rights groups are speaking out, saying the government should be careful not to make sweeping changes that punish everyone for the mistakes of a few. As of October 2025, here's the bottom line. Dual citizenship is still legal, but the political atmosphere around it is changing. Lawmakers are re-examining who deserves citizenship, how it's acquired, and what it should mean. The courts are deciding whether the executive order and proposed legislation go too far. And the American people are debating what it truly means to belong to one nation in a globalized world. Some believe being a citizen should come with deep loyalty and exclusivity, while others believe that in the 21st century, dual identity is natural and even beneficial. Wherever you stand, one thing is certain. The next few months will shape the future of citizenship in America. So what should you do if you're a dual citizen or planning to become one? The most important thing is to stay informed. Don't rely on rumors. Follow updates from official sources like USCIS and the State Department. Make sure your taxes, passports, and paperwork are always up to date. If you're living abroad, register with your local U.S. embassy and keep your contact information current. And if you're thinking about applying for another citizenship, do it carefully. Check both counts' laws to ensure you won't accidentally lose one citizenship while gaining another. Remember, not all countries allow dual citizenship. Some, like Japan and Singapore, require you to choose one nationality by a certain age. Others, like Canada and Australia, are more flexible. You should also think about the future. If you have children, understand how these rule changes might affect them. A child born abroad to an American parent may still be eligible for citizenship, but the rules depend on how long the parent lived in the U.S. before the child's birth. That's why some families are rushing to apply for citizenship certificates for their kids now, before any potential new restrictions come into play. Timing matters, and acting early can save years of frustration later. Another big tip is to understand your tax responsibilities. Dual citizens often face complex tax reporting requirements. The U.S. expects you to declare your global income even if you pay taxes in another country. But thanks to tax treaties and credits, you usually won't be double taxed as long as you file correctly. Many Americans living abroad hire international tax specialists just to stay compliant. It's not glamorous, but it's essential. If you ever want to give up your citizenship in the future, you also need to show that your taxes are fully up to date. Otherwise, you could face penalties. Looking ahead, October 2025 might be remembered as a turning point. Not because everything changes overnight, but because it marks the moment when America started redefining what citizenship means in the modern world. Technology, globalization, and security concerns have created new questions that old laws never imagined. The U.S. is trying to balance openness with control, inclusion with loyalty. But as history shows, these debates often evolve over years, not months. So while you don't need to panic, you should pay attention. The best way to protect your rights is to understand them. Imagine being an American with family overseas. Maybe your spouse is European or your parents are from Asia. You might hold 2 passports, 2 homes, 2 sets of cultural ties. You love both countries. Changing political climate, your dual identity could suddenly become a topic of debate. That's why conversations like this matter. It's not about fear. It's about awareness. Because in today's world, citizenship isn't just about where you were born. It's about who you are, what you contribute, and how connected you are to both your country and the wider world. So as we move into October 2025, remember, nothing has been finalized yet, but the discussions happening right now could shape citizenship policy for decades to come. Keep your documents updated. Stay alert for official announcements, and never underestimate how quickly rules can shift. Whether you're an American abroad, a student with dual nationality, or simply curious about your rights, this is the moment to stay informed. Because citizenship isn't just a passport. It's your identity, your security, and your place in a global community that's constantly changing. In the end, one thing remains clear. Being an American means more than just holding a document. It means standing for freedom, opportunity, and connection. Whether you hold 1 passport or 2, what matters most is how you use that privilege to travel, to build, to learn, and to contribute to a better world. And as the rules evolve, one truth remains timeless. Your citizenship, in whatever form it takes, is a powerful part of who you are. So stay alert, stay informed, and make sure you never take it for granted. Because in 2025 and beyond, the meaning of citizenship is being rewritten right before our